Money makes the world go round, the world go round.
Greetings from Castle Goring, from Mickey, Aurora, and from me. Well, well, well. Before plunging in with anything else, I'm going to say I'm I find myself in a really interesting position because of Harry has had his case with the mirror settled in his favor. I know exactly how he feels because I had my case with the mirror settled as well, where they paid me a substantial amount of money and paid my legal costs. So they've agreed to pay Harry his legal costs in terms of the trial where he lost a large percentage of the matter to get rid of the case. Not the case that they've lost, but the cases that Harry was going to bring because he was alleging that they had hacked his phone and gathered information unlawfully. Unfortunately for them, they had previously admitted to having gathered information where other people were concerned. So, this is something that I have to say, congratulations, Harry. I never thought I'd see myself actually congratulating Harry because it's actually, in some ways, unfortunate that he's won this settlement, which really turns out to be a victory, because his basic agenda against the press is so destructive. However, the mere fact that Harry was able to bring the case out of time and that he had won some of the previous hacking claims means that obviously the Mirror knows that they were up to stuff that meant that with further delving, he might have won more. So they see, which in a funny sort of way is in some ways, even though the situations were totally different, a rerun of my case against the Mirror. Because their behavior was so disgusting and they were so reprehensible that had it gone to trial, they would have really been looking at a massive financial loss, way and above what their settlement with me cost. And I think there are analogous situations in the two cases. But Harry's won because the Mirror has settled. He's on a roll. He's on a roll. A very mixed roll at the moment, but that's his first victory of the last day or two. And we're about to come to his second victory of the last day or two in a moment. I couldn't make any of this up. I tell you, really. Harry and Meghan are a constant source of entertainment. They're also shining examples, not only of what bad behavior constitutes where they're concerned, but where bad behavior is concerned, where others are involved. I mean, you can't make any of this up. You really can't. And now to the next lot. Well, you might notice that I'm in black again today. But today it's half mourning and half a celebratory little black dress. Hence the glitz and the glitter with all these paillettes and the pearls and the headband with pearls and the earrings and the bracelet and the ring, etc. Because I'm partly celebrating various things and partly regretting and mourning again for the loss of Harry's reputation. But it looks as if Ari Emanuel is on the case. So without further ado, I am going to plunge in with what Mary C. Dalton has to say. Watching William at the recent investiture ceremony, I couldn't help but feel that he looks like a king, holds himself like one, even more than his father does. What a contrast with Harry, who grovels like a gutter creature. Well, it wasn't only at the investiture, was it? Because he was also so splendidly regal at that reception at Windsor, where Tom Cruise was. And I know some people have been criticizing the fact that Tom Cruise shows up at things because he's a Scientologist. May I make 1 or 2 points? Tom Cruise may be a Scientologist, but we live in a society where religious freedom of choice is supposed to be respected. And it doesn't matter what your religion is, as long as you are behaving in a civil manner and, where Tom Cruise is concerned, extremely generous to the charities that the King and the Prince of Wales are involved with, to the tune of millions, I gather. Of course he's going to be received, and of course he's going to be a revered guest. Not only is he extremely famous, he's one of the most famous people on earth, and he behaves perfectly well in a social situation, and his religious beliefs are his own business. There's also the fact that when you're raising money for charities, and I speak from experience now, it's partly about bums on seats and partly about the fact that all dollar bills are green unless they have been dipped in red. That's why the late Queen actually saw off Lily Safra as a major donor to many of the former Prince Charles, Prince of Wales's charities, because she had an open checkbook. But The Queen didn't like the fact that she had been accused of dispatching two husbands to heaven rather prematurely. Let's put it that way. And yes, Harry's demeanour is of a supplicant now. But Ari Emanuel is trying to turn it around. And I think we will get to that in a little while, because Harry was at the NFL awards, but we'll get to that in a moment. Not right yet. Marjorie Brooks says, I truly believe Harry has very serious mental problems along with his other issues. He claims he wants and needs security, yet he publicly announced his itinerary and called a backgrid to take photographs of his trip to see his father. His father is recuperating from serious... Oh, I'm going to stop you right there and say, yes, of course he did. It wasn't enough for Harry to come, because Harry wasn't necessarily playing to his father. He was playing to the gallery. And how is the gallery going to know that he's on the stage unless the spotlight is shone upon him? But he and Meghan have backgrid following them the way ants follow food at a picnic. His father is recuperating from serious surgery and is undergoing chemo treatment for cancer, and yet Harry did not bother to ask if his father felt up to seeing anyone, let alone that it is dangerous to see outside visitors during treatment. The Sussex squad are saying absolutely horrible, malicious and hateful allegations about how King Charles and other members of the royal family, the public and paps treated Harry upon arrival, which is a joke, just as his near-catastrophic car chase in New York was. Well, I don't have any idea what they're saying, and quite frankly, I don't want to know. Well, I suppose that's not actually totally accurate. I have an idea what they're saying, but I also have no interest in getting down to the particulars of what the Sussex squad and that whole lot of SS creeps are saying. The fact of the matter is, as any body with two eyes, a brain, two ears, and a head can figure out, Harry is the one with Meghan who leaked. Harry's people are the ones who leaked that he was coming. The announcement emanated from Harry's quarter. Harry is the one who leaked all the information. Harry is the one who made sure that the press were waiting for him upon his arrival at Heathrow. Why did he do it? Well, it's self-evident. Harry wanted the attention. He and Meghan need the connection to the royal family, and it was absolutely fundamental that he get this, because Ari Emanuel had called in favours from the NFL. He represents several of the leading, I should say, William Morris Endeavour represents several of the major players in the NFL, which, to those of you who don't know, is the National Football League in the United States of America. There are two football leagues, the AFL, American, and NFL, National. And the NFL used to be the more major of the two. I don't know the situation now, but when I was young, when I was 19 and desperately in love with one of the New York Giants, who then became a Detroit Lions player. The NFL was the more important of the football leagues in the United States of America. For instance, the New York Giants meant more than the New York Jets. Joe Namath, though, who was the quarterback for the New York Jets, was rather more glamorous a quarterback than Fran Tarkenton, who was, if I remember correctly, the New York Giants. I think I remember. I mean, we're going back over 50 years. So, but, and Harry was there giving an award, incredibly organized for him to pretend to be America's version of British royalty. And, well, actually, I suppose it's not a pretense, it's a reality, but it's a pose. And to achieve a positive reception for that and his visit next week to Canada, he needed to make that trip to the United Kingdom. And not only did he need to make it, but the public needed to be aware of it. Now, if Harry and Meghan and Ari Emanuel and all of those publicity-seeking hounds had been clever, what they would have done was get Harry to come over, leave immediately, because he had to get back to fulfill the obligation to the NFL. And I'm sure you don't think it was done out of the kindness of his heart. Moolah, 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 moolah. Ooh, I just love moolah. I think we can sniff the money. So he had to be back for that. And they were fully aware of the fact that if he showed up, especially after the negative publicity of the Jamaican trip, without the palliative of his visit to his father, which has been a massive deflection, not only from the adverse publicity of the Jamaican trip, but the whole debacle of Africa Parks, which of course they've all just ignored. But if Harry hadn't shown up to see his father, he would have been greeted at the NFL by groans, not anything else. So now do you begin to see why it makes sense for him to have come? But where they're really stupid is they announced it before. They could have announced it after. But they didn't. Why didn't they announce it after? Because the two events would have come too close together. Or I should not the two events. The two newsworthy events. So it's not the event itself, but the fact that the news would have been a two-punch thing. One punch would have been, oh, Harry has been to see his father. Then immediately following would have been like Cassius Clay bouncing like a butterfly as he goads Floyd Patterson. So it would have swamped. While this way, they calculated quite rightly in terms of publicity. He leaks it, he comes over, they have a good 2 days run of good publicity, or mixed publicity, because it's turned out to be mixed. But in America, they're milking it for all it's worth, and Page 6 seems to have completely forgotten that it's supposed to be actually writing the news and not press releases issued by Ari Emanuel. But so everything has been very much more positive in the press organs that are to an extent controlled by the publicists such as Ari Emanuel. So does that make sense to you as to why what has happened has happened? Because to me it's as clear as day. Nicholas Malley says, it can be no coincidence that everyone affected directly by Harry's behaviour has become ill or passed away through illness. I think that's a very good observation, Nicholas Malley. It's not actually everyone. It's those most closely those most closely affected, who have been his grandmother. His grandfather was going to die in any event. Harry helped to make his last days more miserable than they should have been. But Prince Philip was going to die then pretty much, because Prince Philip was shielded from quite a bit of what was going on. He knew some of what was going on, but he didn't know or care to know of the full extent. But he was going to die more or less when he died. So we can't park Harry's blame on that doorstep. But we can certainly blame Harry for having made the last years of his grandmother's life far more troubled than they would have been, far more stressful, and it's doubtless had an impact upon her health. And quite likely her longevity. The same is true of the king and his health. And yes, it has been extremely stressful, all that has gone on. All the lies and the manipulations and the antics and the race baiting done at Harry and Meghan's behest, or for Harry and Meghan's narrative to be expanded upon. You know, things like Marlene Headley, otherwise known as Ngozi Fulani, was totally uncalled for and was nothing but, in my view, but a rank race baiting. Very unjust race baiting too, intended to sabotage Prince William's earthshot visit with Catherine in Boston, and to, having sabotaged it, make Harry and Meghan look all the better at their Ripple of Hope Award reception the week later. And I can go on and on, but I don't think I need to go on. I think you've got the point. Of course, William and Catherine have been affected, as has the King, as has Queen Camilla. They've all been affected. Other members of the family have been affected too, some less adversely than others, but The people of this country have been affected. People all over the Commonwealth have been affected. So it's no surprise that those who have been most closely affected have actually manifested the affect and the effects of that affect in bad health. It's a well-known fact that extreme stress, especially over a lengthy period of time, will actually affect this central nervous system and lower one's immunity. Hazel Moorman says, he got what he wanted, lots of publicity, 12 minutes or 12 hours. He was frontline news, again seeing his father, the King of England. That was his prize. Now he can go on pretending how important he is. Well, Hazel Moorman, absolutely right. And it's not only he who will be pretending how important he is. It's also William Morris Endeavour and Ari Emanuel and all the people in the United States of America, the leeches, who are going to be sucking the blood of the British monarchy as an institution. If they're surprised that people in this country do not approve, they rarely are sick, because they shouldn't be surprised. I mean, they are actually encouraging interference in this business of the British state. Of course, also, Harry is interfering with the conduct of business in the United States of America. And this seems not to bother all of the people who are eager to push Harry and Meghan forward as they make money out of them. I'm sorry, I absolutely deplore anybody who makes money off the misery of other people, especially off damage to a nation and a commonwealth. Pamela Schultz says, you look truly glam and gorgeous in your mourning. Thank you, that's the other day. The only thing I'm mourning is that Prince William works so hard and Harry steals the limelight. Atrocious. Poor Prince William looked like he had deep shadows under his eyes at that air ambulance dinner. He was so dapper, kind and professional, but looks sleep-deprived. His wife is ill. His father is ill. Harry has dissed them both. All your media fall all over themselves to reinstate the woke joke from LA, California. Bad, sad, mad. So glad to have your even-handed, truthful take. The Queen and Princess Anne keep on keeping on. But who gets the attention? We have a saying here in South Africa. Mad dogs and Englishmen under the midday sun. That was an Anglo-Boer war thing. Die Ruineka, the rednecks, that is sunburnt, the sun-mad, sunstroke. But it's appropriate to your press cohorts right now. I think the British press has yet again proven how completely inadequate it is in terms of living up to its responsibilities as proper conveyors of the news. And yes, William was really good at the air ambulance dinner, but He obviously is tired. He's obviously drained, but he's stepping up to the plate. He has embraced his destiny. He has had. I was going to say something, but I'm going to check myself. Every young person at times bucks against a very weighty load that is awaiting them as a necessity in their lives. We all do it. We've all done it. And he is no exception. And the Queen, the late Queen, and Prince Charles, as he then was, and Camilla were all behind him, enjoying as much of an ordinary family life as he could. The late Queen never forgot the early years of her marriage, especially her time in Malta with Prince Philip before King George VI died. And she was absolutely eager that William and Catherine would have as ordinary and as fulfilling a youthful married life as they possibly could achieve. And she assisted, and Charles backed it up 100%, and William got what he wanted. Harry also, may I point out, was getting that as well when he was married to Meghan. Harry and Meghan's workload was not onerous. People seem to not understand. Harry and Meghan were on royal light duties and would have remained on royal light duties for several years while their children were young and while they were relatively newlywed. People don't seem to understand all of this. Well, William and Catherine have, rather sooner than they would have liked, had to step up to the plate. Harry and Meghan, of course, stepped away from the plate. They didn't even give anybody a chance to ask them to step up to it. They simply stepped away from it. But then, of course, they weren't going to be able to make the money that she wanted them to make as long as they were working royals. So there's that aspect to it as well. I don't think I need to say any more. I think we all get the point, don't we? Rebecca Munro says, "Dearest Lady C, thank you for always speaking the truth and for keeping it real where the media are concerned." Thank you. I'm glad you think so. I have to say, I was very encouraged, not only by the comments on my channel, but on the many, many comments on GB News's channel. It's nice to know that when I buck the trend, that the mainstream media will be determined to pursue no matter what. That even though the mainstream media might deplore the fact that I do it, the public appreciates what I'm doing. So I agree with you that Harry is a treacherous little sod, GB News. Well, it just popped out. And I'm sure I'm not the only one you aren't. In their thousands, they've agreed. Regarding his fleeting visit back here to the UK, I'm amazed that Harry didn't fly himself over and back across the pond to Montecchio, seeing as he is a living legend of aviation. Laugh out loud. Much love to you as ever, to the beautiful furry girls and all at Castle Goring. Sent from my home to yours. Thank you very much, Rebecca Munro. In fact, Harry evidently intended to fly himself over. He asked Meghan, he said, Meg, I need to, we agree, I need to go. Can I borrow your broomstick? And she said, no, you can't borrow my broomstick, H. I'm not going to lend you my broomstick. I might need it. But Meg, we've already organised that you're going to be photographed grinning like a barracuda by Backgrid in LA tomorrow. Please, pretty please, lend me your broomstick. No, I'm not going to lend you my broomstick, H. You're just going to have to go there under your own steam. So he went via British Airways, and evidently, because British Airways was delayed, he went back by Delta, supposedly. I'm not really interested, in all honesty, in such trivial details, but that's what I read. And to me, that sort of triviality is meaningless. What to me is meaningful is that Harry quickly organised that trip without his father's knowledge, consent, or approval, and inflicted himself upon the palace. Rhonda DF700 says, I heard Harry told the king that Meghan would like a word and I can get her on speed dial. The king told him that won't be necessary. That's why he came. The UK media has made me sick and so angry with this narrative of poor Harry and making Prince William out to be the villain, pushing Prince William to make peace with his brother, making it out to be all Prince William's fault. How about giving Prince William some support and sympathy? It's disgusting what the press is doing. Well, you can bank on it that any leak as to the subject of the conversation would have come from Harry and Meghan. It will not have come from the king or the queen. It will have come from Harry and Meghan and their side or their people, whichever way you want to put it. Yet again, Meghan is presented as being magnanimous, and there is the attempt to present Charles as vindictive. Except it's not worked quite like that, has it? It's backfired pretty gloriously, actually, if you stop to think of it. Because people all over the world have been able to figure out on their little onesie, as if they have a brain, which is quite amazing. Why would you or I have a brain? After all, we're not the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. We're not geniuses like them. That why did Charles need to speak to Meghan? And if he rejected speaking to her, it doesn't make him out to be vindictive. It makes her out to be inappropriately pushy, and it makes him out to be strong enough to refuse to be drawn in by her and Harry's wiles. Now, as for the media where William is concerned, But actually, not only where William is concerned, where Charles is concerned as well. The media seem to have forgotten that only a few weeks ago, Meghan and Harry's mouthpiece amid scabies was lying and saying that he wasn't responsible for leaking the identities of the King and Catherine, and B, that magically the King and Catherine's names had somehow just dropped like manna from heaven into the lap of the translator, Saskia Peters. All of which, of course, was transparent falsities of the highest order. People seem to forget that Harry and Meghan have accused the King and Catherine of extremely serious, destructive behavior. Which person in their right mind would, while they are being assailed, because they are being assailed, let's remember, the assault started with the Oprah interview. That's years ago now. For 2 years, Harry and Meghan were silent, collecting awards for their struggle against institutionalized racism within the British royal family, etc., etc. And then Harry spins around and has the unmitigated gall to tell Tom Bradby, oh, Meghan never said that the family was racist. The press said it. No, the press didn't say it, Harry. Meghan said it. And you backed it up with your silence. Then, amid scabies, points the finger at not one, but 2 culprits. Because remember, Harry on the Oprah interview said it was 1. It's now magically grown into 2. Both the King and Catherine. I mean, let's remember, we are dealing with people who embody a state, the state of the United Kingdom, the present King and the future Queen. And at the time of the original accusations, the future King and a future Queen. So they embody a state. When a state is being attacked by another entity, does the state spin around and say, oh, actually, rain missiles down upon my head. I am going to forgive you. I'm going to act as if it's not happening. I'm going to pretend that you're wonderful. I'm going to forgive you. Kissy, kissy, boo-boos. I mean, what planet are these people on? And when I say these people, I don't only mean Harry and Meghan. I mean the press. This disgusting narrative that they have come up with, that the royal family should embrace Harry and Meghan whenever Harry and Meghan, being the they, indicate that they wish to be embraced. What about consequences for your actions? What about how the fact that sensible, responsible people have appropriate responses to certain circumstances? I mean, where is all of this nonsense coming from? I'll tell you where it's coming. In fact, I won't. I'll read out the next question, because many of you are so on the ball and so wonderful that you hit upon aspects that, so instead of me just chatting or giving a lecture, I want us to have a conversation, which means input from you, input from me. Savoira says, I think the media is insisting on the brothers reconciling so that they have more drama to cover, because if Harry and his wicked witch are allowed back into the fold, there will certainly be a lot more drama. The media is just as disgusting as that couple. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. I deplore irresponsibility, and I deplore irresponsibility when it's coming from a powerful direction. And let's not forget, the media are a very powerful organ within this state and within the world generally. Of course they won't. First of all, they don't care that they're dealing with human beings. So, and they're not human in any event to most of the journalists because they are of a different category. So, just as how it's easy to dehumanize somebody who you don't relate to, they find it not only easy, but it feeds their ignorance as well as their envy and their covetousness. And quite frankly, their heartless desire to dictate a narrative which will be in their financial or professional interest. I mean, is this responsible journalism? Between the wars, there were movies made. I forget the name of the movie now. A wonderful movie made with Jimmy Stewart, about this wonderful, responsible journalist. Where did all of that sort of journalism disappear to? I'd like to know, because it certainly isn't a very evident nowadays. Share the Unlimited says, what we witnessed from Harry's visit, a pure display of the victim-bully complex. Yes, Harry is a bully. And he's a bully who thinks he's a victim and who wants us to believe he's a victim. The only thing he's a victim of is his own disturbance. That's what he's a victim of. Brenda Cunningham says, in that one photo in the car as he was leaving, Has was red-faced and looking embarrassed or downcast. When I saw that, I thought there was a problem with the visit. Well, of course there was going to be a problem with the visit. The visit was a carefully choreographed act to gain Harry and Meghan credibility that they otherwise lack. It was imposed upon the king. Notice the way it all took place and the timing of it all. And you will see that it seems that the only thing that's beating is the drums to the bank account and not a heart. Suzanne Shute says, hi, Lady C. Being an American football fan, I was floored to see Harry at the National Football League Honours Night announcing the Highlight Award, the Walter Payton Man of the Year. The award is the top honour of the year for a football player. The focus of the award is work with their community. Yikes. Suzanne Shute, yeah. You know, my first great love at the age of 19, as I think I said earlier, was a member of the NFL. He was a linebacker with the New York Giants when I met him, and then became a linebacker with the the Detroit Lions. This is 50 something years ago. The Detroit Lions. He looked like Superman, even down to his glasses. He looked like Clark Kent because his glasses, he was nearsighted, were very similar to Clark Kent's. Clothed, he was, without a doubt, Clark Kent. I draw a veil over the rest, but to say that he was consistently Superman in every way, including in terms of character and decency. He was a lovely, lovely man. And we remained in touch for many years. I know how important the NFL is from not only my experience in those days, but just common sense. And the fact that the NFL was convinced to have Harry award the Walter Payton Man of the Year award says, I don't know about what it says to you, but it says to me that William Morris Endeavour is pulling out all the stops. And the only way that William Morris Endeavour will ultimately fail is if every time Harry and Meghan do something that is inappropriate or is and their behavior is inappropriate and they occupy inappropriate positions on the world stage. They are threats to the First Amendment. They are threats to the concept of the American Constitution, not only in terms of civil liberties, but in terms of the fact that the American people are a Republican state. That is, they are a republic, a democratic republic, with no king or royal family, and therefore they should not have Ari Emanuel, William Morris Endeavour, or any other entity setting up an alternative royal court in the United States of America, which will be a pseudo-royal court and a quasi-American court, which is exactly what William Morris Endeavour and Ari Emanuel and Harry are about with the William Payton Man of the Year award. Why is Harry giving that award? He's giving it because he is a British prince living in the United States of America, being promoted by Americans as something he is not. He's not representative of the United States of America. He's not representative of the monarchy of the United Kingdom. Why is he being promoted to give an award? Did Harry ever play football? American football at that? Absolutely not. He has no business doing it. People need to be alert to what is going on. There is a segment of the American population which doesn't care about the freedoms and liberties of the American people. They only care about making money for themselves. Ari Emanuel has shown me, as a result of this favour that he's called in, that he's extremely capable and also has no respect whatsoever for the basic liberties of the American people, because it is dangerous to push forth a foreign prince and to try to make him popular when that prince's position is that the fundamental aspects of the American Constitution are madness. Remember, he said it. The First Amendment is bonkers. He also said you can work your way around anything. So, Sandra Lane says, "Oh lordy, the NFL has Prince Harry handing out Man of the Year. Please, your opinion, Lady Campbell, on the irony of this. Ridiculous. It's beyond ridiculous." I think I've just given my opinion, but it is beyond ridiculous. This shows me that Harry is being infiltrated into positions of respect and respectability that he has no entitlement to. There is no link. If Harry had been a more conventional, respectful prince, respectful of the rights of the citizens of the United States as well as the United Kingdom, and was the dolt that he is, and he'd been married to an ambitious hustler, but one who wasn't quite so frankly anti-everything that I regard as decency, you could have said, well, it's harmless, it's sort of Palm Beach stuff. It's not going to spill over into the mainstream. But they are targeting the mainstream. Yes, it's all entertainment. But the entertainment industry has too much power in the United States of America already. And Harry and Meghan piggybacking on the back of such a powerful industry to the detriment of the civil liberties of the citizens of the United States of America, I think it's deeply ominous, deeply. And Henry Hazel says, "Lady C, I have a question that I hope you don't mind me asking. Obviously, you can ignore it if you do. Considering the recent health issues of King Charles and the Princess of Wales, do you think these will affect the comeuppance event you have been speaking about for Harry and Meghan since last year? The one that was supposed to be the end of 2023, but this was delayed until the first half of 2024. Just curious for your well-informed thoughts. Thanks and much love to you and the girls." No, it's coming. It's coming. It's coming in various ways. Some of them have already started, but the particular thing to which I referred is very much on the cards for the last third of, not the last, I'm terrible with math, for after Easter, better not try to say it in terms of months. Okay, so hope that helps. And we're nearly at the end now. Dear Lady C says, Barbara Urmossi, where can we acquire your etiquette book? I live in Switzerland and would love to read a digital copy. I sadly cannot get my hands on a physical copy as they are rather rare over here. Thank you for all the wisdom you share with us. My very best wishes to you, Barbara. Thank you for all of that, Barbara. I'm afraid it's not available. It's out of print. I would have to update it because it was published in 1986, so it was written in 1985. So some of it is out of date. I've not had the time. I'm not sure I have the interest, truth be told, because it's, a lot of the etiquette that mattered then no longer matters now. And we live in a far more freewheeling world. And I think I have more important things to do, truth be told, than update the book on etiquette. But I suppose if enough people thought that it might actually be worthwhile, maybe I would reconsider, because I actually originally wasn't going to write it as a book of etiquette. I was going to be writing it as an updated book on philosophy. And then I was convinced to write it as etiquette, and I saw that if I underpinned it with philosophical aspects, it would be worthwhile. But, it's, for instance, writing letters. There was a format that was absolutely followed in the 80s that doesn't really matter anymore. So it's I'm not sure that I will actually do it, but thanks for asking. And on that note, I will say thank you very much for listening. I hope this has been of some interest to you. If it has, please keep the questions and comments coming in so I will know what you would like us to be speaking about. Godspeed. And if you have truly enjoyed this, would you care to like, share, subscribe, press the notification bell, and take good care?